All right, so the session is being recorded. So let me show what our main reporting challenges that we help distribution companies with Dataself. The first one, a lot of clients or process when they come to us, management complains that they're flying blind. There's a lot of things going on in their business and they have little visibility into the data. There's a lot of fake news, a lot of opinions, but not a lot of insights. So that's a main challenge we hear from distribution companies. The other one is, sorry, the people who support decision makers, IT, the business analysts, the consultants, they usually complain that it's complex and time consuming to keep up with the requests from decision makers, new reports, new dashboards, new metrics. So IT complains about the reporting tools that they use are complex and time consuming. A lot of distribution companies are heavily focused on sales analysis, to whom they're selling, what products, is it growing, is it declining, which divisions or product segments are being more successful or less successful. So big visibility into sales trends is critical, and also the reason that many people come to us asking if we can improve that part of the business. Inventory planning, looking at their inventory, checking trends, making projection of inventory, helping the purchasing of items is also critical, and we'll talk a little bit about it as we go through the session. And finally, for many companies in distribution, look at their financials, their P&L, balance sheet, and kind of financials is also can be critical, and we also can help with that. So how Dataself works behind the scenes, primarily we are a enterprise BI platform made simple. It's still very robust, it still can scale significantly, it can have all the bells and whistles, but we make it significantly simpler and more affordable to get the ball rolling and give you better insights. Typically, we bring the data from the data sources, your ERP system, if you have an inventory system that is separate, CRM, Google Analytics, any kind of data we bring into a SQL Server data warehouse, can be on premises or in the cloud. So we bring the data together, we prep the data, we optimize the data for reporting, and then we use tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Excel to deliver on day one easy, insightful reports and dashboards across different modules, like for distribution, sales, inventory, purchasing, financials, all of those things. We have a lot of reports and dashboards available out of the box. And that's how the solution works behind the scenes. With Dataself, pretty much what our clients say that decision makers can easily access their KPIs, their key performance indicators, anytime, anywhere, and accurately, especially with the whole COVID madness where a lot of people are working remotely, because Dataself can be in the cloud, as long as people have access, to the internet, anytime, anywhere, in pretty much any computer device, they can access the reports and dashboards, and they can change, slice and dice, and create new ones from scratch. It's very empowering for decision makers. For IT, it's a simple setup. Deployment of the entry-level version takes 15 to 30 minutes, super easy to deploy. It's easy to maintain. In overall, Dataself can automate a lot of the repetitive, time-consuming IT tasks associated to report, refresh, maintenance, and distribution. So IT becomes more productive and more is more helpful for supporting the decision-making process. Let's show some of the popular reports and dashboards from Dataself that has been designed for distribution companies and how they have been helping other distribution companies to be more effective. So right now, I'm going to switch to the cloud Dataself analytics portal. And primarily what I'm going to show is a little bit of natural language functionality. I'm going to show a few sales reports and dashboards that are very popular. And I'm also going to show some inventory planning component in receivables. So today we'll cover those topics. What about natural language? What is this about, you know, the natural language query? Natural language query is similar to searching the internet, like with Google or Bing, where a decision maker enters a question about their business, you know, and the data must be in Dataself, let's say in your ERP, in your CRM, anything, any data that we bring to Dataself becomes the repository for natural language query. And then decision makers, they just have to ask a question and the tool will answer the question if the tool has the components to answer the question. Let me show an example. Right now, I'm connected to the sales data of my ERP system, sample database. And as a salesperson, or maybe VP of sales, I'm going to type sales by salesperson in 2019. So I just typed this question. Just like searching the internet, the tool gives me hits. I have to see if one of them answer my question. In this example, I want to see the sum of sales by salesperson where the invoice date is 2019. Yep, that's what I want to see. I click it, and then the magic happens in a way. The tool will build an instant accurate report or that, you know, or chart answering that question. Right here, I see my salespeople. I see sales, in this case, in a descending order for the invoice date in 2019. That's it. Maybe you want to break down by month. Sure, by month, type the question. The tool gives me the hits. Which one do you want? You find the right hit, you click it, and the tool again changes the report to answer that specific question. So in this case, in 2019, by month, by salesperson, give me a line chart with sales. In many instances, people want to see maybe a different representation, maybe a different chart, or maybe just a grid, like an Excel grid. And you just pick and choose here, let's say text table. And now the tool will give me that information now in a grid format. It's very easy for decision makers to find answer to their questions using natural language. And if they want to export to Excel, let's say, I can just select data points. Let's say I want to see all my January. I select all the January data points, and I tell the tool to show me the data, and I just focus on those data points. So right now in January, I want to see full data, mean all the records, all the transactions in my sales details. And now I can download to an Excel, and maybe I want to do this something else in Excel, and that was it. In a few clicks, I was able to come up with a question, find the answer, export to Excel, and keep with my analysis. And that's the beauty of natural language. And just like search the internet, it will not answer all the questions. If the question is properly articulated and the tool finds the data and knows how to put it together, in a few seconds you get the answer. Many times people's questions are more complicated, and then they need to either use the report editor in Dataself or call someone that knows the report editor to modify if that report is not available yet. So natural language empowering, but it's not perfect. What I'm going to show you next is some of the out-of-the-box sales dashboards that have proven to be popular and very helpful for distribution companies. The first one is just a simple yet empowering way to look at year-over-year trends. It can be sales, it can be gross profit, quantity sold, any metric. And in this example, what it's showing is looking at the total this year. I'm looking at sales the total last year and the variance, and I can easily change what this year is. Right now in my sample database, this year is 2019, and I'm looking at all the periods, the whole year, and I can see the dark blue is this year, so this is a sales by period. The light blue is sales last year. And quite often when companies are doing sales analysis, historical sales analysis, they want to see portions, let's say year to date, maybe only a single month, maybe a quarter. And it's very easy to come over here and just select the period you want to do the year-over-year analysis. Let's say I want to see year-to-date analysis through period 9. So from period 1 through 9, I press apply. Now the whole dashboard changes to only show my sales this in last year through period 9. And I'm still growing quite a bit since last year. I can see sales by ship to. The bubbles is sales this year. Black bubbles is growing, red is declining. So let's say Texas, I'm growing 52%, while in New Jersey, I'm declining sales since last year to date. These I'm looking at my customer sales last year, this year in the variance, in product last year, this year in variance, and this is highly interactive. Pretty much in Dataself, you can land with a dashboard like this and easily change things without being an expert. Let's say right now, this is showing my customers with the top sales, with declining, with the top sales at the top of this list, and going down, I see smaller sales this year. And what if I want to see my top customers last year, how they're doing this year, right? So what I want to do is actually sort these customers by last year's sales, and I simply click or hover over last year and tell this icon to sort. When I click, it sorts in a descending order. So these are the customers in descending order in sales last year. This is sales this year, and I see that two of them, they have pretty big declining sales. How about that? What if I wanted to focus only on these two customers with major declining sales to learn more what's going on? I can quickly just select those two bars with the biggest decline in sales. And by selecting them, the whole dashboard changes to only show the total for these two customers, the trend analysis, the ship to analysis, and what products are driving the decline. And here, maybe I want to sort the variance of the products to see which products are driving the biggest decline, and these are the products driving the biggest decline for these two customers. Maybe I even want to go and see, sales details. I can select for a particular period, for instance, and say, show me the sales details. What is sales details? Now I have it at the bottom, the details. I see document number, I see document date, customer information, salespeople, products, quantity sold. Every single detail associated to this customer now is available. And if I want to export to Excel or do more slice and dicing, is very straightforward. So again, in Dataself, the ability to look at the high level information, find threats and opportunities, narrow down to those outliers, and drill down and slice and dice and export is something that is usually very empowering. And most business people with little training, they'll become more self-sufficient in doing those analyses by themselves. So this is one example of a dashboard available out of the box to help sales analysis. We also have other kind of KPIs that are very popular for distribution companies. Usually distribution companies, they are looking at what we call the hot customers or hot products, hot territories, anything of those we call the hot performers. In out of the box, we have two ways to define hot. One is we call on fire. On fire meaning the biggest by sales, gross profit, quantity sold, whatever the measure that you want to analyze. And also we call the heating up, which is which ones are growing the most in a given period. In the way you define the period is pretty much by changing this criteria. So right now, my period 1 is the first 6 months of 2019. The period 2 is the second half of 2019. So my customers on fire, in the example, are the top customer by sales in the second half of 2019, while the ones heating up are the top 10 by sales growth, comparing the second half of the year versus the first part of the year. In all of these things, they're highly interactive. For instance, if you are a distributor of petroleum products, usually you don't care about sales, you care about quantity sold or gross profit. What you do, you just come to the measure here and you tell, hey, I'm gonna do by gross profit. And once you change the metric, the dashboard now shows the hot customers by gross profit or maybe by quantity sold. So you just change the measure and you see that different perspective. Or maybe you don't care about customers, you really care about product instead. I can come and say, show me the main dimension to be product instead. So now instead of being the hot customers, and it just didn't work. Well, in production, it would actually show my hot customers. And again, let's say if you look at my top customer by sales and I want to see what I've been selling to this customer on those 2 periods, I just click here and the tool will open this drill down at the bottom, show me the drill down by product for this specific customer. So again, have a high level perspective, click on something and it will give you more details. So this is the hot performer dashboard where we have the on fire and heating up, in this example, customers. We also have the cold, getting cold kind of perspective. These are pretty much about the cooling off, in this example, customers. Cooling off means they are declining significantly. In this case, the top 10 customers by sales decline this half of the year versus the last half of the year. So which customer declined the most? And maybe the question is, why are they declining? What products are driving the decline? And knowing who they are is the first step towards hopefully fixing those issues. The other way to look at the cold customers is the frozen approach. The frozen approach is which customers in this example were buying the last period, but are not buying at all this period. So they're no longer doing business with you. Again, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay, and knowing who they are is the first step towards hopefully fixing that kind of trend. So the hot and cold are 2 popular dashboards, very popular with distribution companies. Let me go now to the Pareto perspective, which is also for many businesses very enlightening. The Pareto perspective is a way to look at your, let's say, customers or products, and where you select a first measure, let's say my sales. So this is my sales by, in this case, customer. The second measure is gross profit, which is this measure here, gross profit by customer, and this is how it accumulates the gross profit. Now, the point is, sometimes customers with large sales can actually have low profitability or even negative profitability. And sometimes if you're not looking at this perspective, you put a lot of effort into the wrong customers, or you should work smartly to make those customers that are not so profitable to be more profitable. We have some clients recently. They are again in the oil industry where sales is not as critical, as well as what is usually critical is the quantity shipped, like the pounds and gallons that they shipped in the profitability. And let me change the measure from sales here to put quantity sold. Like this is an example, it's not from their database, but this report here is sorting my customers by gross profit in a descending order. And I see in here I can tell the quantity shipped by customer, and a lot of the customers with low shipment, they actually have a lot of profitability, while some customers that I also have a lot of shipments, they're actually negative profitability. And the question would be, actually it's not negative profitability. The customers in blue, they represent 80% of my gross profit in total, and the ones in red are very little profitability. So the goal is, why these customers are adding so little to your gross profit? Can you do something to try to move them up to the top, 80% of your customers? So the Pareto analysis is this very simple yet critical analysis to see profitability versus gross profit, and see how you can move people to different buckets. The next also very popular perspective is the whale analysis. The whale analysis take the Pareto analysis to a slightly different angle. For a lot of businesses, a lot of the overhead they have around their operations can be measured by number of invoices. So let's say the more invoices you have, the lower your overhead by invoice. And sometimes, if you don't look from this perspective, your overhead for each new sales, you might be again focusing too much in customers that might be driving a lot of shipments. In actually your overhead, most of people are working around those customers, while customers with lower number of invoices and lower overhead is not getting enough attention. This dashboard here is showing on the top section sales as the bars, and these dots are the number of documents issued for every customer. The middle section has the bars, which is the gross profit, the pure gross profit by customer, while these arrows pointing up or down means the net gross profit considering the overhead, the document overhead. So the idea is you take all of your operation costs, right, and divide by the number of invoices. That will give you what is called the document overhead. How much costs your company for every sale that you have? What is the average? You plug this number here. Now what happens is, like in this example, you have a bunch of customers where you have good profitability with them. It's positive, the gross profit is positive, but because you ship so many invoices, when you look at the overhead per invoice, the net profitability for those customers is actually negative. They are reducing your profitability, not increasing your profitability from that perspective. In the very bottom chart is the actual whale chart. Why it's called whale? Because it looks the shape of a whale. And in this example, all these black arrows up, they mean these customers are adding to your net gross profit looking from an overhead standpoint, and all the ones with red pointing to the bottom means they are decreasing this net profit. In this company particularly, the total gross profit goes to $9 million, and when you start having these other people that are decreasing, bottom line of this company, my sample database, their net gross profit is about $1 million. So the question is, could you move some of these customers more to the left? Could you try to consolidate these orders, these invoices? Sometimes you can, sometimes you cannot. I was working with a client recently that when I showed this dashboard and they put the mouse over some of these customers, they were, or they are, big boxes where the company is shipping all over the country a lot of volume. So maybe for those customers, you're not going to do anything because that's the business model. At the same time, when I was talking with this customer about this perspective, I told them, you can actually come up with a different overhead, document overhead for your e-commerce sales versus your non-e-commerce sales. Because usually e-commerce, it's a different arrangement, it's a different cost, right? That if you're very efficient, it takes little effort for your company to sell through the e-commerce. So you can apply a document overhead for e-commerce clients differently than the other non-e-commerce clients. anyhow, the whale kind of report is amazing to give some insights that sometimes can help companies significantly improve their operations and become more profitable. The next kind of dashboard that we also help many companies is around inventory planning. And inventory planning can have so many different directions or slice and dice in how people look at their inventory planning. A lot of companies use inventory planning or do their inventory planning in like Excel. It's very popular for people who do a lot of work around Excel to look at forecasts, to make projections when they should buy and whatnot. With our framework, we usually can automate a lot of that mechanical part to be something that is automatically done by the Dataself framework. And this is just an example to give you the idea behind the scenes. So in this sheet here, I have the products that I'm selling. And then I have for a given period, in this case, I'm looking at 3 months out, future for the next 3 months, I see by week, the on hand today by product. So this is the on hand today by each one of these products. What I have today, this would be my current week. And then what's coming inbound, could be purchase order, could be work order, could be a combination of them, but this would be the items coming inbound from purchasing and manufacturing, let's say, and those quantities spread out by week. And then we have the quantities on open sales order currently in my ERP system. So I can see also open sales orders by week. And then I have sales projection. Sales projection is where we have different algorithms to look or to customize how you want to do your own sales projection. Is it based on past sales, maybe trailing weeks or months, maybe the same period last year plus an adjustment and whatnot? So there are different ways we can do sales projection. And then we just add them together. So what is the on-hand projected this week? Well, you take on-hand today, you add inbound, you reduce outbound, and you get the projection on hand. You do the same calculation moving forward, and we can give you the perspective of your own on-hand by item. Then we look what is the minimum on hand on your ERP system if you have that kind of requirement, and we plug the number. And then we have the excess short, meaning if the projection is above minimum, you have excess inventory. If the projection is below your minimum on hand, then you have a short quantity on hand. So pretty much this is a way to automatically calculate all of these metrics and give you a snapshot of your inventory planning projection so you can better do your purchase of items. This component here right now is only available with Dataself Enterprise. We have 2 versions. We have inexpensive Dataself Advanced Analytics, and we also have the Enterprise where the inventory planning can be customized and can be very effective. This component is similar to like Inventory Advisor. It's a product that is out there that does this in a great, efficient, very well as well. So we do not replace directly many of the Inventory Advisor projection algorithms, but for those companies who have simpler forecasting needs, our solution sometimes is a replacement for that kind of functionality. So anyhow, so this is how overall the inventory planning in projection works. The last thing I want to show is for many businesses, looking at the AR aging is not so critical, but for those who have a lot of aging, this dashboard is very insightful. You got the total AR aging by time bucket, by where the money is coming from, by due date, by customer, documents, and all the details. And again, highly interactive. If you want to see only your past due invoices, you just select those 3 colors or those 3 bars on the left, and now it focuses and it shows where the money is coming from, how it's distributed by the due date, which customers are actually having the biggest decline, the biggest past due. By the way, this one represents most of the very old invoices. If I click on it, the dashboard changes again to show me specifically what's going with this customer. So highly interactive. Alrighty, so there was a quick overview of the out-of-the-box reports and dashboards. Today, I'm not going to be showing the report editor, but overall, people who want to learn how to create and maintain reports and dashboards like this, we have an ongoing class every month. It's about 8 hours of online classes where people who go to those that training classes, they can become fairly self-sufficient in creating their own reports and dashboards like the ones that I show you today, which are by the way, available out of the box. So that was my demo. Let me move on here. Some of the good news is the Dataself Advanced Analytics, the inexpensive product, the price starts at $200.99 per month. It's a month-to-month contract, so you go, you give it a shot. If you're not happy, you only spend 1 2 months, you cut the subscription, and you don't invest a lot. Typically, clients who try Dataself, they realize, oh my God, why we haven't started with Dataself earlier? So usually when people try it, they'll love it, and they will invest usually even more. Now, because you are in this webinar today, we're offering a 14-day free trial. So if you'd like to get this solution for you, send me an email, and I'm going to give my email at the end of this presentation. Send me an email, and I can give you the instruction in how to unlock the 14-day free trial. So make it available, make it easy for you to take advantage of Dataself and run with it. Before I open the Q&A, let me very quickly show you on dataself.com where you can get more information about Dataself and even kick off the deployment process. Let's say if you are a Acumatica, Sage, or client that use any of these systems, let me go for sales here just for the sake of example. I'm going to click Sage and select, let's say, Sage 100. When you go to the advanced analytics page of your product, you're going to have videos and explanation about a bunch of things here. And you also have the pricing of advanced analytics starting at $299 per month. You can see how users work. If you need more than 10 users, how much it's going to increase the cost per month. If you need additional templates, you can see the price right here. And then if you want to deploy right away, you can click Deploy Advanced Analytics Now. If you have cloud systems like Acumatica, the deployment takes about 15 minutes and you can do it all by yourself. If you have on-premises systems like Sage, then we need to be in touch with your IT people, but the deployment takes usually about half an hour. So once we get connection, pretty much the same day or next, you'll see your data in Dataself. So it's very straightforward. The other thing you might also use for your assessment, if you go to Dataself, in the menu, you have the industries section, and if you select distribution, you're going to go to this page here where we have some descriptions, and feel free to explore. At the bottom, we have this section that talks about sample reports and dashboards, and if you click on the sample reports and dashboards, you come to this page that has a lot of screenshots. The first few screenshots is about the Advanced Analytics by Dataself, which is the inexpensive product, and there's a bunch of reports and dashboards you can look at here. And if you scroll down further, you go to the Enterprise Analytics software, and then you have a bunch more dashboards available for your assessment. By the way, the Enterprise version has more than 5,000 reports and dashboard templates available out of the box, while the Advanced Analytics about a couple of dozen. Both very empowering, very insightful, but the Enterprise just has a lot more created out of the box. Alrighty, I hope you found that informative. I'm going to open now a Q&A session. So if you have questions or comments, please use the Zoom chat box or the QA box, and I will address your questions. So let me see if there's any question over here. Let me open my okay, there it is. Sorry. All right, so there's a couple of questions here. Question from Martin. Do you support Sage with a Providex database? Martin, thanks for your question. I think you're talking about Sage 100. And yes, absolutely. Both the Dataself Advanced Analytics and Enterprise can work with your Sage on Providex or SQL Server. Doesn't matter. So work both ways. Thanks for your question. Question from Carl. What is the difference between Light and Enterprise? Carl, thanks for your question. So actually, we rebranded Light. Now it's called Advanced Analytics. There are two main differences between the Advanced Analytics versus Enterprise. The first difference is the Enterprise version comes with a full-fledged available data warehouse for customization. So clients that have more data and more complex data preparation needs usually need to get the data in the data warehouse to be massaged, to be changed, to be linking, you know, if you have like multi-company, multi-currency, things of that nature. So the Enterprise allows data manipulation of the data warehouse, while Advanced Analytics, the data warehouse, we call it, it's a transparent data warehouse. It's like a pass-through that does part of the magic in BI, but you cannot connect to it directly. So that's one of the differences. The second is the out of the box. Advanced Analytics has about a couple dozen reports and dashboards as a starting point. You can absolutely create your own reports and dashboards, and you can create a lot of them, no problem. But the starting point is a couple dozen, while Enterprise, the starting point is thousands of reports and dashboards, over 5,000. So there's a lot more things ready to go on day one. That's the main difference. And we have another question here. Question from Natalie. I have a client using Salesforce.com that is transitioning from Sage to NetSuite. Is it going to, how much is it going to cost to bring historical Sage data to salespeople? Can Dataself help? Natalie, awesome question. We definitely can help, but we'll take this question offline, because when we talk about blending data together and you're moving from one ERP to another, there's so much we can help, and we need to know the details. Sometimes it's quick and easy, and we can get things up and running in no time. Quite often when people talk about moving from one ERP to another, blending with, let's say, CRM like Salesforce, usually the needs can be a lot more elaborate. So we'll get a one-on-one conversation with you. Looks like that was it. Let me see if I have any other question here. Nope. Alrighty. Well, I really appreciate for your time for joining today. You can see here my name, my email, and my phone number. Let me actually, by the way, get this out of the way because it's hiding the phone number. There you go. So now you can see the phone number as well. This session is being recorded, and we're going to make it available. So by tomorrow, you should be receiving an email with the recording. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact us. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Stay safe, well, and sane. And staying sane probably is the biggest challenge lately. Thank you very much.